Hello and welcome to this video from Today You Can about procrastination. We are going to call it Procrastination 101. The definition of procrastination is the action of delaying or postponing something. When we acknowledge what it is we tend to procrastinate on the most, we better prepare ourselves to overcome that procrastination in the future. I'm going to read some of the most common things we tend to procrastinate on, and I will encourage you to consider what you procrastinate on the most while I'm reading. Going to the doctor for a checkup, calling your family and friends to see how they are doing, paying your monthly bills now so you don't have to worry about them later, updating your resume and searching for a job, answering your emails, starting that hobby you always wanted to try, cutting out junk food we know is bad but continue eating anyway, leaving for work or school on time, doing your homework now so you can relax later, asking that guy or girl out on a date, cleaning up the house, donating to that charity you always wanted to donate to, planning a vacation to a new country or state, finally going to the gym and working out, getting car maintenance done, reading that book your friend recommended to you last year, telling someone a secret you've been hiding from them, going back to college, apologizing to someone after you've hurt them, telling someone you love them, creating something artistic and sharing it with others, waiting for that perfect moment to start your own business, doing laundry, cleaning the dishes, spending more time with your kids, starting to take small steps towards the life of your dreams, going to a concert or sporting event, learning how to speak a foreign language, taking a week off from work, running a marathon, writing that book you always wanted to write, volunteering at a local community center, selling old stuff around the house you don't want it to use anymore, letting go of a mistake you made a long time ago, asking for something because you're afraid the answer will be no, studying for an exam, getting to bed at a reasonable hour, having children, helping a friend with something they asked you to help them with, quitting smoking, getting married, shopping for groceries, putting out the garbage, buying new clothes, getting a new place of your own, saving for retirement, breaking off from a relationship you know isn't going to work, trying new recipes, getting a haircut, and doing something just for the fun of it. At this point, I would encourage you to pause the video and write down the top 5 things you procrastinate about the most. Now that we have acknowledged the things we procrastinate on the most, we will identify the reason why we procrastinate. There are 4 procrastination personality types. The first is the performer who says, "I work well under pressure." This procrastinator forces themselves to focus by shrinking the time they have to tackle a task. For many, the real reason behind this is perfectionism. If you're tight on time, there's no way the task can be done to your unreasonably high standards anyway, right? For others, the issue is simply falling back into old patterns and beliefs that we have about our 11th hour saves. No matter what, being in the habit of putting pressure on ourselves is not sustainable. The second personality for procrastination is the self-deprecator who says, "I am so lazy right now." This procrastinator is the opposite of lazy, so when they don't do something, they are extra hard on themselves. They tend to blame inaction on laziness or stubbornness rather than admit that they are tired. What they really need is to be more compassionate with themselves. The third procrastination personality type is the overbooker who says, "I'm so busy." This procrastinator is a pro at filling up their calendar and is often overwhelmed. "I'm so busy" is probably the excuse people use the most. When busyness comes up as an excuse for not doing something, it is usually an indication of avoidance. Rather than facing a challenge head on or admitting they don't want to do something, it's easier to place the blame on having other important things to do. The final procrastination personality type is the novelty seeker who says things like, I just had the best idea. This procrastinator has a terminal case of shiny object syndrome. They are constantly coming up with new projects to take on and then getting bored with them a week later. They are intrigued by the latest trend and will be quick to implement but not follow through. They are great at making decisions and taking action. However, they end up inadvertently losing a lot of time and burnout because they don't take consistent action in one direction long enough to see results. At this point, I would encourage you to pause the video and consider what your top 1 or 2 procrastination personality types are. Now that we have an understanding about what we procrastinate about and why, let's consider the consequences. The first being that we lose precious time. The worst thing about procrastinating is the moment that we realize that we are 2, 5, or 10 years older and nothing has changed. This is a terrible feeling because you can't turn back the hands of time. You just have to live with the helpless feeling of regret. There's nothing worse than feeling frustrated at yourself, knowing the situation could have been so different if only you had taken the first step. The second consequence is related to blowing opportunities. How many opportunities have you wasted because you didn't take advantage of them when they were there? This is when the effects of procrastination really make you want to kick yourself. What you don't often realize is that the opportunity you had could have been life-changing, but you missed out on it. Most opportunities only come around once. You are never guaranteed a second chance. The third consequence is related to meeting goals. Procrastination seems to come on with full force when we entertain the thought of goals of wanting to achieve or change something. You might have a strong desire to change, but you just can't seem to take that first step forward. The fourth consequence of procrastination is related to your career. The way you work directly affects your results, how much you achieve, and how well you perform. So the effects of procrastination can end up being detrimental to your career. Procrastination may prevent you from meeting deadlines or achieving your monthly targets. You might also miss out on promotions or even be at risk of losing your job. The fifth consequence of procrastination relates to our self-esteem. This is one of the vicious circles you might find yourself in. We tend to procrastinate because low self-esteem makes us feel that we won't be able to get a task or project done the right way. Unfortunately, procrastinating only increases feelings of low self-esteem, making us doubt ourselves even more. When we have low self-esteem, we hold ourselves back, feel unworthy of success, and begin to self-sabotage. Procrastination eats away at our confidence, slowly but surely. The sixth consequence of procrastination involves making poor decisions. Poor decision making is one of the worst effects of procrastination. When you procrastinate, you make decisions based on criteria that most likely wouldn't be there if you didn't procrastinate, like pressure to finally make a decision because time is running out. Emotions heavily influence the decisions we make, and procrastination increases negative emotions, which can push us into making decisions that don't serve us in the long run. The seventh consequence of procrastination relates to our reputation. When you keep saying you will do something and you don't, your reputation gets tarnished because nobody wants empty promises. Besides damaging your own reputation, you're damaging your self-esteem and self-confidence. You will find that it gets easier to procrastinate each time because you are not surprising yourself anymore. People could stop depending on you and hold back on offering you opportunities because they get worried that you will simply procrastinate, leaving them to clean up the mess. The final consequence of procrastination relates to our health. Among the effects of procrastination are mental health problems like stress and anxiety, and these in turn are linked to health issues. If your procrastination leads to feelings of depression, this will start to affect other areas of your life. If you procrastinate too much with something, it will most likely start to stress you out and cause anxiety, especially when other people or things are involved, and all of this can lead to poor health outcomes. At this point, I would encourage you to pause the video and ponder on the consequences of your procrastination in the past. Now that we have an understanding of what we procrastinate about, why we procrastinate, and the consequences of our procrastination, let's consider some of the things we can do to overcome this procrastination. The first thing we can do is get started by simply setting a start date. When we focus on when we are going to begin a task and not when we hope to end it, we will take a tremendous amount of pressure off of ourselves. Another thing you can do is take a break and take some time to recharge. At this point in the video, I would encourage you to pause and write down some things that you can do to incorporate self-care into your everyday life. A third thing we can do is take some time to do some introspection. Sit down and write about the things that we are actually avoiding and why we might be avoiding them. A final strategy involves writing our ideas down. Write down new ideas or projects on a sticky note or piece of paper, but don't pursue them until you finish what you are currently working on. Now that we have identified strategies we can utilize to overcome procrastination, I would encourage you to consider which works best for you and utilize it.